food items in case your power goes out and all of the things in your refrigerator start to spoil. You need to make sure you can still have something to snack on until that power is restored. Pet supplies, a great thing to have for your emergency supplies. Extra cash. Who doesn't want that? Make sure you have some of that for storm preparedness. A gas can, a good idea. Phone charger. Always great to have a way to charge all of your tech. Extra house and car keys, a good idea. Medications and medical items, you may want to have an extra supply of that just in case you can't get to the store to pick up more after a hurricane. Sanitation items, first aid kits, personal documents, and also a great idea to have that bottled water and plenty of it when you're talking about these big time storm situations, especially hurricanes. Now, like I said, we are getting closer to the 2025 hurricane season, and the storm names that will be used for this season have already been released, and they range from Andrea all the way to Wendy. So we got Andrea, Barry, Chantal, Dexter, Aaron, Fernand, Gabrielle, Umberto, Imelda, Jerry, Karen, Lorenzo, Melissa, Nestor, Olga, Pablo, Rebecca, Sebastian, Tanya, Van, and Wendy. Now, my hope is that we don't have to use any of these, but chances are we are likely going to have some named storms that turn, of course, into tropical storms, hurricanes, and we likely will even have a few major hurricanes. So, of course, this is the list that those names will come from. So we will, of course, be monitoring the tropics day by day, closely looking to see if anything is popping up, but we likely won't start to see that action until closer to the beginning of hurricane season. Now, what does Colorado State University think as far as the upcoming hurricane season? Well, they have released their first official forecast for the upcoming season, and this is the 2025 Colorado State University prediction at this time. Now, during hurricane season, they will actually come out with a couple of updates as we go through the season, but for now, preseason, they are predicting 17 named storms, 9 hurricanes, and out of those, likely 4 becoming major hurricanes. How does that compare to last season, 2024 season? Well, we ended up with 18 named storms, 11 hurricanes, and 5 major hurricanes. So they're predicting that this season will be busy, a little busier than average, but not quite as busy as last season. But like I said, it only takes one hitting your house to make it a bad hurricane season. Our average number of named storms from about 1991 to 2020, 14. Out of those, average number of hurricanes per season, about 7, and about 3 of those on average become major hurricanes. Now, let's quickly look back to last hurricane season where we did have a hurricane hit the Houston area. Remember Hurricane Beryl? How could you forget? It caused a lot of damage, a lot of flooding, a lot of structural damage. A lot of those tarps and generators were needed during the aftermath of Beryl in and around Houston. Of course, this happened around July 8th, 2024. Peak intensity before it hit Houston, 165 mile per hour winds. But when it made it to the Houston area, it did make landfall in southeast Texas as a Category 1, and it produced 67 tornadoes over a 3-day span across the eastern U.S. So that was a bad one, but we are hoping we can escape being hit directly by a tropical storm or hurricane this season. However, we always want to be prepared. Now, let's look ahead to the first month of hurricane season, of course, which is June, and typically things don't really get going until usually August, September, but there is a possibility to get some named storms, maybe a tropical storm or hurricane in June. Usually the Gulf and the Atlantic seaboard are typical locations through which named storms will start to develop and move into our area. So the Gulf and the eastern seaboard, or the eastern section of the U.S., the western Atlantic, will be areas that we will be watching closely, that will have a slightly higher shot for some development for the month of June. But like I said, overall, the risk for June is low. However, we are keeping a close eye on it for the beginning of the season and throughout the entire hurricane season. But once again, make sure you take advantage of the emergency preparedness supplies sales tax holiday weekend coming up April 26th through April 28th.